Hello, everybody. Andrew Gay and Tom Fox here, back with another episode. And today we're going to talk about leadership with a little bit of a twist. We're going to talk about youth leadership here in our local Kerrville area. And we have two wonderful guests with us. Megan Folkerts, you've been with us before on the Leadership podcast, and Ry'lee Paxton. Welcome. How you guys doing?
Really good. This is awesome.
Good. Yes, we're happy that you guys are here. And why don't you just do us a favor and to kick things off, tell us a little bit about, you can tell us who you are and maybe how you got involved with KAYLA is the acronym, right? That stands for Kerrville Area Youth Leadership something Association. Academy.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
Go for
That's
it,
all you. That's all you, right?
Okay. So just like how I got into it.
Yeah.
Okay. I go to Ingram-Tomore High School, and next year I'm going to be a senior. But throughout this KAYLA process, I've been a junior, and I got into it by my dad, actually, because he works for the city of Kerrville. He suggested it as a really good opportunity to get involved in my community a lot more and to get to know a lot of the jobs around here.
Yeah. Okay. And I know your dad. He's a good guy. We're in leadership associated through leadership with each other. So that's great. So what was your first course of action once you said, okay, I like the idea? What was next? Did you have to apply tell us a little bit about that.
So there was an application process. So you had to write a lot about your previous accomplishments. Like I had to write down a few of my awards that I've gotten in the past, and I got to speak a little bit about how, like, what I'm involved in just in my regular life and like at school.
Okay. So what would be some of those things? What are you involved in at school? And I know you're out now, but this last year.
I am cheer captain at my high school, and I'm in the NHS program. I'm an FFA, and I do stuff like poultry judging, land judging, public speaking, and I'm a reporter in the newspaper. It's just a bunch of stuff like that.
Okay. Y'all have your own newspaper there?
Yeah, we just got it this year.
How cool. How was that?
It was a hard process to get it started because it's ran by students. So my friend Nevaeh Carroll, she started it, and it took a long process to get through Crit, our principal, but he ended up accepting it, and now it's led by Miss B.
Very nice. Very nice.
Tom, over to you, sir.
So did you go a little bit more into the application process, and what did you have to? Did you have to give any projects you've been on? Obviously, tell a little bit about yourself, but what maybe your goals were, or why you wanted to be involved, or any of that part of the process?
Wait, could you repeat that last part? Sorry.
Sure. So I'm really interested in the application process. I understand you had to fill out certain basic information, but did you have to tell them things like, why did I want to be in this academy? Other projects I may have done as an example of some of the skills I already have that I hope to build upon. Just what information did you have to communicate to them?
Absolutely. You had to say why you wanted to be a part of the program and what you wanted to get out of it, what you were hoping to see in the program if you were to be accepted into it. And you had to describe why you should be a member of KAYLA.
And then you mentioned one of the things that you learned about were the job opportunities and businesses in Kerrville and Kerr County. And talking to people who've gone through the program, they really talked about, they didn't know about so many things in our county, whether it be a nonprofit, whether it be governmental work, governmental services. You mentioned your father works for the city of Kerrville, so you may have had some idea, but were there really things that surprised you that it existed, or you found out in the academy itself that you didn't know about Kerr County?
Absolutely. There's a bunch that surprised me actually when getting in my community a little bit more. Like we went to the water treatment plant, and that was really interesting because there was like all of these elaborate, like there was like pipes everywhere, and there was like chemicals, and it was a blast. And there was this one kind of like cylindrical tower that we had to climb up, and there was like water at the top of it, and it was really cool looking down and stuff.
Yeah, we did our tour there not that long ago, and I always thought the first time that I went there, I thought that was really interesting because I think, Megan, you even mentioned on the leadership podcast, one of the questions I think you guys had posed to some of the possible participants for KAYLA was, what happens when you flush the toilet? And it's like, you don't really think about those things, right? And then all of a sudden, when you're faced with something like that and you're going through a tour of the water treatment plant, it's very clear, oh, this is where our water comes from. They suck it out of Nimitz Lake. They have to treat it and do things to it so that it can be pumped back through pipes so it makes it into our homes. Yeah, I'm with you. I think that was always eye-opening. Do you remember seeing anything about the ASR? Does that ring a bell? It's okay. So at the facility, when you're staring at it on the right-hand side, there's these things that pump water back into the ground. Do you remember them telling you about that?
I do.
Yeah, that was my favorite part, just because that it highlights that we were one of the first areas to pioneer that aquifer reserve system, and so it's pretty cool because you're like, oh, it's putting Kerrville on the map, but those are things that you just don't come into contact with, in specifically for you in your day-to-day life with school. No one would have ever been talking about anything like that, right?
Yeah. And it was really cool to see. I got to meet a bunch of the people that worked there, and how passionate they were about what they do is incredible.
Yeah. Awesome.
So what were some of the things that surprised you the most about what that you learned during the academy?
So we had a bunch of people come in to present what they do in their jobs. There was slideshow presentations, like they went really in depth. And there was this one occupation that I became familiar with, which Kerrville really prioritizes the fun things, like our river trails and just free community things that we can all do together. And it's stuff that we don't have to pay for, like in the community. So it's just like there. So we don't think about how much it costs to maintain our river trails or our tennis courts, stuff like that. And there were people that budgeted for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they had to plan out all, and what was the number that?
I don't remember. It was like millions.
Millions. There's so much money that goes into it. It's crazy.
And that was eye-opening for you, huh?
Absolutely, because every single dollar is meant for something. It's all accounted for.
Did you expect to see those kind of numbers when talking about something like that?
Absolutely not. I had no idea that they spent that much money on stuff for our community that we get for free.
Yeah, it takes a lot of money to run a city. It really does. Megan, you got anything to add to any of this so far?
I think Ry'lee's captured it pretty well. With the city, we offer this program basically just to look through city operations. So we haven't expanded it so much to align with leadership Kerr County just yet, but we do try and showcase everything as far as municipal government. So I'm trying to make the program a little more inclusive of our entire organization and not just certain departments. So this year I tried to do that, and we had, like Ry'lee mentioned, days where they came in and did PowerPoint presentations. And this year we did a little bit differently because we had the public information office come in, and I know you were interested in the journalism marketing aspect of that. So we did that with municipal court. We did tours of the library facility. And even myself, before doing anything like this, working for the city, you only get exposure to so much unless you make time to go out and do that. So I think it's great for those who are involved in the city and our high schoolers across the county.
Yeah, you obviously got a lot out of it. You're so well-spoken. I'm sure your dad is super proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Tom, what else you got?
Could you tell us, you mentioned obviously you're from Ingram and you go to Ingram Tom Moore High School. Were there people in your class at the academy who lived outside of Kerrville as well? Or were you it?
I was not it. There was actually someone else from Ingram, Madison Collins. She's also our school's mascot, but she was involved in KAYLA with me as well. And then there was Gracie from Centerpoint. And Corbin also goes to Ingram now, but she went to OLH at the beginning of KAYLA. So she moved mid-year. And then we have Ellie, who's from Tybee. So she's from Kerrville area.
All right. Very nice. And then, so yeah, what does that definition look like for y'all? Does it matter? Where, just within Kerr County?
Kerr County.
Okay. All right.
So I make it a point to try and locate any sort of school that's established within Kerr County and try and reach out to them and let them know the program ahead of time. And I brought our little application just to go over any highlights that we were interested in talking about. But so they have to be a Kerr County resident currently enrolled in 9th to 12th grade for the school year. They have to complete our application, which has 4 questions on it that they need to elaborate on, and then provide a letter of recommendation from a nominating teacher. So those are the required items that we need for that. And we've accepted everybody that's applied so far. Last year, I think we had 10, and then this most recent school year, we had 6.
Yeah.
So
does it cost any money?
it does not.
Oh.
No. And we meet once a month for an hour usually, and typically that's like a 4:30 to 5:30 time frame. So not too long after school gets out.
Okay.
But
and where is that usually located?
So we do tours. So typically we'll do certain ones if it's more city hall oriented at City Hall, but the majority of them we actually go to each facility. So within Kerrville, they don't have to drive too far.
Yeah, there you go. And had you ever been in anything like City Hall other than, I know your dad works for the city, but leaving that part out, had you ever been in there before?
I had city tours previously.
Okay.
I knew the place.
Okay. When were you exposed to that? Like through what programs? Did your school take you on like a field trip kind of thing there, or when did you see those?
Do you know the Sky Bridge? I go there a bunch. Like I went there to take pictures a few times for my dance team.
Okay.
And mainly just exposure because of my dad.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Tom, any other questions?
So could you tell us when the next class will be? And you've talked a little bit about the application process, but maybe some key dates and where online people can go for more information.
Sure. So I don't have a specific date just yet, but typically we try and open it in August. We give students time to get acclimated back in school before having a deadline. So typically it's an August opening date, and then our applications close early September. And information can be found on the city website. Typically we have a little thing you can hover over and I want to apply for, and then KAYLA. But around this time frame, I'm trying to make that a little bit better too, doing maybe some more press releases and posts on social media, and maybe having it be on the landing page when you go to the city website.
This podcast will definitely be on YouTube, so you can feel free to share the link.
And YouTube link of this podcast.
Yes,
I'll share it.
And like your friends. And speaking of that, because we're running towards the end of our time here today, do you have anything you want to say to maybe potential peers of yours that would want to do this program, maybe why they should do it, encouragement for them to go through this program?
All right, 2 words, go for it. Oh wait, that's 3. Sorry, 3 words, go for it. I can't math.
That's
but
great.
It's such a great experience. You get to get really involved in your community in aspects that you wouldn't otherwise have realized were there. Most likely, I didn't know anything about the water treatment plant going in. That was definitely my favorite part. I talk about it a lot, but just go for it. It's free, and the application process is pretty simple. It's laid out for you already, and you get to meet some really amazing people. I've made long-lasting relationships through this program. So
that's awesome. Well said. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Be sure to check out our stuff on YouTube. I'll be sure to send it to you. That way you can share it with your friends. Tom, any final thoughts?
No, thank you. And hopefully we can continue this conversation with your next class.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Thank you.